Okay, our presentation is dedicated to the valuable folklore collection of the musicologist and ethnographer Bedros Alahaidoian'a, which was put into scientific circulation very recently. The collection seems to be a huge material containing 500 compact cassettes and 126 reel-to-reel bobbins, which it generously donated to us, and today it is digitized and kept in the Aram Kocharian Sound Library at the Department of Folk Music of the Institute of Arts of the National Academy of Sciences of the Republic of Armenia. This archive is particularly important in terms of the period of recording of the material. The archive recorded in the second half of the 20th century after the Armenian genocide. The broad geography of the recording of the material is also exceptional. Folklorist, musicologist, and conductor Bedros Alahaidoian'a collected them from especially old people who settled in the Armenian diasporas of France, Greece, Belgium, Netherlands, Syria, Lebanon, USA. The Armenian folk music, at first interested in the period of formation of the Armenian National Composer School, as a material that musicians used in their compositions. So before Komitas, there were prominent scholars, prominent ethnographers like Sahak Amatuni, Christopher Karamurza, Makar Yekmalyan. They did huge work, but Komitas Vartapet made the systematic start of collecting folk music as a material for scientific study, not only for material for compositions, but to study and to understand what was nature of Armenian music, the nature of Armenian music. Moreover, at that early stage when traditional art was actively living in its natural environment, and it was necessary to choose the right places for collecting, Komitas preferred rural settlements. Okay. I want you to show citations. Yeah. Is it okay?
No, because we have to share our screen.
Ah, okay. Okay, Komitas used to say, citizen Armenians gave folk songs the names of rural, rustic, workers, and in Armenian also Ramkakan. And quite rightly so, because it is the villager who creates the song. Every villager has a songwriting talent, and adds, the gift of songwriting is a natural gift for a peasant. All of them, for better or for worse, know how to dance and sing. They learn the art of songwriting in the lap of nature, which is their treacherous school. End of citation. This was essential not only for Komitas, but in 20th century ethnomusicology in general. For example, Bartók said that it's important to collect folk music as far as possible from the centers of civilization and transportation routes. In addition to laying the foundation of a folk music collecting system, Komitas also created a whole school, because of which the succeeding generations continued and continue the work of storing traditional art. One of them was Bedros Alahaidoian'a, a student of Komitas' pupil Barsegh Kanachian. He undertook this task not long after the painful events for the Armenian nation. The forced departure from the historical homeland started from the 1970s. And I would like to emphasize again that he did this with exceptional efficiency. 126 reel-of-reel bobbins and 500 compact cassettes. He was alone doing this work. Bedros Alahaidoian'a, musicologist, conductor, and alt player, was born on November 29, 1934 in Beirut, into a family of survivors of the genocide. His father was from Urfa, his mother from Caesarea. Along with elementary school, he studied in the theory and violin classes of the Beirut Music School. From 1948, he studied at the Nisham Palanjan Seminary, then from 1954 at American University. From 1956, he settled in Belgium for the purpose of studies, first as a pharmacist, then years later in 1965 as a musicologist at the Free University of Brussels. A broad opportunity for propaganda of Armenian music was in 1977 when he started working at Brussels State Radio. In addition to the fact that he dedicated programs to Armenian music, he also performed the Komitas wedding song cycle with the State Radio Choir, which did not include any Armenians. Now I want you to listen to Bedros' voice and the purpose why he started this great work and what was his motivation. It's in Armenian, but I'll translate it shortly. Let's listen his voice.
1984-ի այդ ապրիլ 24-ի առավոտ վճիրը դրված էր։ Ինքս զինվորակրած էի աներևույթ վիշապներու թեմ։ Պիտի անպայման արժանավայել գերբով ընթառաջեի 1985 տարին։ Եղերնի 70-ամյակը առավել 50-ամյակը Կոմիտասի մահվան։ Չգար այսքի ավելի վեհ ու սրբազան մարդահրավեր։ Մանավանդ հայ երաժշտի համար։ Վճռած էի անցամբ սպաղիլ հայ մամիկներով ու բաբիկներով գարելի եղածին չափ լուրջ կերպով և կարողությանս նրա չափովը համաբարփակորեն։ Նախապատրաստական աշխատանքները շատ էին և երկար ժամանակի կկարողեին, քանզի անհուսությունը ունենալով իբրև վահան, սպիրկի ворցևեք հոգեբանության թեմ, քաղտնի և մինագս պիտի գլուխանի այդ դիդանական գործը, որն էր հին ու չերկված երգերու ու թեր չարցանակրված վկայություններու մեկտեղումը ցայնակրիչ մեքենայիս վրա ուղղակի մեր երետ սերունդի վերջին ներկայացուցիչներու բեռնեն ուր որալ գտնվեին անոնք։
Years, particularly starting in 1985, on the eve of the 17th anniversary of the Armenian genocide and the 15th anniversary of Komitas death, that Alahaidoian decided to make his field work systematic. He left his work on Brussels State Radio and went to Armenian nursing homes and colonies in
1984-ի այդ ապրիլ 24
He went to colonies in France, Paris, Saint Raphael, Lyon, Valence, Vienne, Belgium, Brussels, Antwerp, Netherlands, Almelo, USA, Fresno, Detroit, Los Angeles, Greece, Athens, France, Marseille, Syria, Aleppo, Kesap, Kamishli, and USA, Los Angeles. As notices Bowman, when different ethnic communities and social groups come into contact, the interrelation of cultural core and boundaries becomes more dynamic. As one is forced to recognize other tradition, one is more sharply aware of the characteristics of one's own. End of citation. The code is particularly appropriate in the historical reality of the Armenian nation in that moment. Now let's present the main content of the recordings and then let's highlight a few samples. Some samples are authentic with Komitas ethnographic materials. As it was said, this archive is unique not only for the broad geography of the recording, but also and firstly for the Armenian nation in general, recorded not long after the difficult historical events when it was a fortunate period of time to not lose the cultural identity after overcoming the physical destruction, to pass the musical genetic memory of the nation to the next generations. Due to this instinct, Bedros Alahaidoian made the collecting of songs systematic and sole occupation, and realizing the above-mentioned historical moment, recorded everything that the old people who survived the genocide remembered. That were foremost testimonies of genocide, then ethnographic materials, rites, beliefs, proverbs, sayings, traditions, etc. Musically, traditional rural songs, urban folk songs, excerpts from popular operas and operettas, marching songs learned at schools, and spiritual songs. Firstly, the ethnographer was looking for traditionally transmitted, as he emphasized in the questions, rural song samples from villages. He used to say "Dohmi gerker." He seek that, especially "Dohmi gerker," as Komitas testified in his time. In a private conversation, Bedros said, "The most important thing for me was not only to immortalize the old people's song, but the life they lived was important, during which they learned to sing along with suffering and feeling, to express themselves through song." As truly mentions Lomax, the first function of music, especially of folk music, is to produce a feeling of security for the listener by voicing the particular quality of a land and the life of its people. After finding and listening to those voices, every time Alahaidoian was excited like a child and started to plan the next stop of his harvest, covering a huge geographical area. So it's, you can see photos from his archive. It's a little part. It's our first meeting in 2020 in his home. After this meeting, when I came back went to Yerevan, I received a call from his wife, and she said that Bedros decided to send all materials to me. And I started to cry just like a child. This was a great day for me. January 2020. A little part from his archive. And it's Aram Koçaryan's Sound Library in National Academy of Sciences of the Republic of Armenia, Institute of Arts. It's the biggest one, I think, that includes folklore, Armenian folklore. And thanks to Bedros, it's twice. It's bigger than was before his donation. Yeah. Now I will introduce a few samples from different regions of Western Armenia. Komitas has a certain reference to the issue of musical dialects in his work Armenian Rural Music. He says, "Folk art has a close relationship and a natural connection with local conditions, which give birth to environment-specific qualities. Therefore, a musical idea gets a characteristic expression in different places," and adds, "Provincial dialects of music originate from local language." During writing my PhD, the mentioned about issue was obvious, especially in one specific genre. In my case, it was lullaby. So the same lullaby sung by the same nation, they're different in different regions because of the regional dialects, musical dialects. It's something great that needs some special research of not one researcher, but many of them. So interesting issue. Bedros knew that Armenians from concrete regions are most talented singers and dancers. That's why when he had information about, for example, Van-Vaspurakan Armenians in any nursing homes or colonies, he went there immediately. One of that talented informants was Khachik Nersisyan, who was born in Hayot Dzor. He sang approximately 15 samples. Let's listen one of them. That's not this one, sorry. This one is one region. Hachik Nersisyan.
Kukaserazız Tezegote Zego Dalyana Sofop Armuandal Beçer Yar Arev Darego Armuandal Beçer Yar Arev Darego.
Okay. Let's listen also Komitas version, but be carefully because this one is informant's recording. Now we'll listen professional performers. It's something different. Okay. I need YouTube. Yeah, I found it. Thank you. This was Aleak Folk Trio, which is the best performer groups in Armenia, because they introduce folk songs in a cappella form without any instrumental accompaniment, and it's something unique, and I think it's the best and real. We feel what was traditional art in this concept. Okay, it's my opinion. Okay, let's continue. Also, let's talk about Bedros' publications during his life. Alahaidoian, with his niece, musicologist Zovinar Markaryan, edited for publication his teacher Barsakh Kanajian's complete works in 2 volumes in 2019, the blue ones. Okay, once he said that it was his duty to do that despite his age and the hard times of the COVID period. It was in 2019. As an ethnomusicologist, Bedros has realized only 2 volumes based on this huge archive. An ethnomusicological collection of Palu and its neighboring areas in 2009, at the middle, you see, and Van Vaspurakan song collection dedicated to the 100th anniversaries of Armenian genocide in 2015. Van Vaspurakan collection. The first one is unique. Balu collection is unique because all songs are passed to us by one talented singer, Maro Nalbandian, the daughter of survivors from Balu, Balahovit. Although several researchers and let's listen one sample from Maro and we'll come to conclusion. Maro Nalbandian's voice, and we'll listen Balus Tamzara. You can
hop hop gelen man chere urarach chigmen desnan hongeten fe ser urarach chigmen desnan hongeten fe ser tamzarayin barere irar gu kanya arere tamzarayin barere irar gu kanya arere khalk sakal khissa arela داغي كان ما حاصل خلك سكن خسا عرينا داغي كان ما حاصل تنزراين فار بيت كهو بالو خر بيت تنزراين فار بيت كهو بالو خر بيت.
Tamzara is a widespread and very popular song, dance song or song dance in Armenia, and it was realized during wedding ceremony, and it has some steps pushing and moving away any evil from new family that creates a dead process. So it's a wedding song, dance song. Although several researchers and one PhD student are already engaged in studying the material, the presented archive is huge, and 100 or maybe 1,000 samples still need to be researched and published. It is a well-known fact that the 20th century was crucial for traditional art. On the other hand, it was a period of technical revolution. Bolman notices, although some critics blame technology for transforming active folk music traditions into passive ones, within which most members of the ethnic group content themselves with a small homogeneous sampling, a less pessimistic counterargument recognizes the potential for technology to expose larger audiences to a greater diversity of music. Moreover, recordings as well as printed sources play a vital role in the technologizing of oral tradition. Musicians commonly learn new pieces directly from a record or tape cassette. It's 21st century's reality. We can't avoid it. There is no way to avoid that reality. For us, Armenians, those techniques and the presence of Bedros and ethnographers like him were vital, not only for a changed world in which traditional art isn't viable, but because of the loss of a historical homeland. Now, due to those recordings, we have the opportunity to preserve Western Armenia's musical heritage. And for that, we are so thankful to Bedros Alahaidoian'a, who passed away in 2022. It was on September 11th. I remember that day. And few days later, it will be his 19th anniversary, which we will celebrate in National Academy of Sciences of the Republic of Armenia as he as Bedros Arjani. How to say Arjani? Deserves. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.